Yeah, there's nothing to do, bro.
Guys. Yo, we should do something.
Let's watch a movie.
Bruh, I have the perfect movie.
What is it?
Witch Hunters 2.
Yeah,
No
bro.
In the beginning, there was nothingness. Then, the Salem witch trials happened in the 17th century. All that stuff in between about the Big Bang and the creation of Earth doesn't matter. Everyone already know about that. No point in over-detailing it. Anyway, the world is made up of atoms and molecules that sustain life, or can snuff it out in the blink of an eye. Many were hanged and burned at the stake for a specific group of molecules, the molecules of witchcraft. From conspiring with the devil to eating babies, the crimes witches were accused of were downright absurd and numerous. Natural disaster? The witches did it. Mentally ill person? The witches did it. I'm looking at you, Abigail Williams. Bad Sonic character model. The witches did it. Essentially anything that seemed like magic outside of the church, even if someone did it on an accident, resulted in death. But bye, have fun in the internal fury pit. Let's have a closer look at what caused these misinterpretations and why so many unfortunate souls ended up creating witchy substances. Many witches were skilled herbalists, creating medications that are still risky to make today, as plants have varying amounts of effective compounds used in the medication, and certain parts of these plants have more of these compounds than others depending on the time of year and their location.
Yeah, and as a result of that, these medicines could just as easily become poisons if not harvested at a specific time of year or location. They created a reputation for people, either as a sorcerer, someone who is respected for their magical abilities, or branded them as a witch for doing bad things.
Hey guys, speaking of medications and potions, some examples of these medicines include wide celery prescribed for muscle cramps, IV to lessen asthma problems, and parsley was even thought to cause miscarriages. And dealing with heart-affecting molecules, one could look towards foxglove and cardiac glycosides, and that was used to strengthen and regularize heartbeat.
Many of those accused of witchcraft were herbalists skilled in the use of local plants to cure diseases and provide relief from pain. We could often be relied on to cause love potions, cast spells, and remove hexes as well. Yes, the herbalists had magical healing powers and concoctions and rituals surrounding the rest of the ceremonies we will perform, which is ridiculous.
Okay, so this witch is stuck in here and we really gotta get her out before she goes into a wall.
Yeah, so instead of going to get her before she gets out of there, let's talk about why Gavin is acting like an absolute maniac.
Okay, yeah, so one of the many misconceptions with witches is caused by foxglove. It's a type of plant, and it's very useful in the sense that it kills very well and is deadly. Do not ingest.
Yeah, but it's not just plants though. Animals make some wacky stuff.
It's okay, bro. I know you gotta study. You can just get through this. You got this.
Okay, so yeah, animals make some wacky stuff too. Some of those cardiac glycosides.
It's okay. Let that silver go through.
These molecules will mess you up. They're mainly poisons from some shiny frogs.
Yeah, man, like the reflective skin frogs, like the poison dart frogs. Yeah, and they, also they're used in potions, like by the supposed witches, and that's why like people thought that like they could like poison people and stuff and kill people.
Yeah, they use it from toads and frogs. Like that's what they use it from.
Yeah. Also, toxins are very toxic and come from frogs.
Yeah, it's got molecules from the diatoxin molecule to fly inside the black twin ring. The extra hydroxide between the C and D rings. As other health-related supports, including yes, the hemlock plant, the very wretched creation that kills the creates. Quinine is a molecule that did its fatal damage to the poor soul. At least it wasn't as bad as that Aristotle guy. Doesn't matter the compound is super complex, it can kill just the same. Quinine is relatively simple and does as much damage as strychnine, and an extremely complex compound.
Okay, so on the topic of alkaloids, they're essentially plant compounds that are extremely toxic and affect the central nervous system. But in all honesty, dosage is key.
Yeah, and in seeming small amounts, they can be a deadly defense mechanism used against insects as well as fungus and animals, but it could also be used as a very useful medicine.
Well, of course, you would have to mix with other compounds or elements to make the medication and not die.
Indeed. Although the alkaloids are not very forgiving, especially when it comes to conium maculatum.
Griselda, I assume you would know a lot about the nightshades and chromium maculatum. They were what made witches imagine they were flying.
Hey, I'll have you know that they do actually make you fly. You're just a rotten, non-witch, puny creature you are. Speaking of imagining things, and myth mandrake have a lot associated with them. Mandrakes are also thought to make a high-pitched screeching sound when pulled from the earth. I can affirm that the myths not talked about and the screeching ones are all 100% true. Other than that, mandrakes are mainly used as a medication and used to raise tensions and urges.
Shut up, Griselda. Speaking of nightshades, there's also belladonna, named after an Italian tradition involves the dilation of a woman's pupils using juices from belladonna berries to make herself more desirable. The plant causes a death-like slumber to occur when eaten, possibly what Juliet had consumed to fake her death.
All of these plants contain very similar alkaloids, and the two main ones being hysocycamine and hysocine. A type of hysocycamine called atropine is still used today to dilate the pupil for like the examination of eyes, and it causes blurry vision, agitation, and sometimes delirium in high concentrations.
The other main alkaloid, hysocine, has been unserved reputation as the truth serum. So when it's combined with morphine, it causes something known as twilight sleep. Whether someone babies the truth or just babbles in the state, it's still not clear. In small amounts, it combats motion sickness and used by astronauts. Atropine acts as a cure for more dangerous molecules, such as saving a nerve gas and partholon and serine, and organ phosphate and cestoside.
These chemicals act by preventing a messenger molecule from being removed that transmits a signal across a nerve junction, resulting in the constant stimulation of nerve endings. Atropine blocks the production of this messenger molecule and acts as a cure to serine and perithine if the victim is given the right dosage.
The way these witches like Griselda used witchcraft was with alkaloid extracts, which can be absorbed through the skin, where blood vessels lie right under the skin. When the extracts are absorbed, they lead to hallucinations and were associated with sorcery powers riding a broomstick. These hallucinations would lead to secret spread between women, leading to the tales that witches ride around at midnight on brooms.
Yeah, and another group of alkaloids that could be responsible for thousands of witch burnings throughout history. These alkaloids are from the ergot fungus. Some molecules of this alkaloid group can be so terrible that communities blame the effects on witchcraft. For example, one of these molecules, ergotamine, causes blood vessels to narrow, and another, iguanavine, creates instant abortion. The outbreak of this group of alkaloids led many of us to believe that there could be a witch in the area.
Ergot alkaloids are extremely toxic, and despite this, they're still used in many medicines.
Who would know that such a deadly molecule could have been used to save lives? This funky molecule has been used to help childbirth abortions. Now, ergot alkaloids are used for migraines and help with childbirth.
Ergot alkaloids are derivatives of lysergic acid, and some dude, Albert Hoffman, he created a derivative from called lysergic acid dithiamide, which is LSD-25, now known as LSD Lakeshore Drive.
Ergot poisoning is a major factor in the accusations of witchcraft.
Yeah, it all started in 1962 Salem, Massachusetts, one of which was rye. It was grown in the late 17th century.
Yeah, and rye needs to be grown during warm, rainy weather during the summer and spring for it to be perfectly fine.
And it makes sense because Salem was really close to swampy meadows, which allowed rye to grow. Ergotism was huge because of the witch hunts.
Cut it. Many of the symptoms seen by witches were consistent with ergotism. Some examples are diarrhea, vomiting, and hallucinations.
Lysergic acid derivatives have a medical dosage of about a few milligrams. LSD does not transfer through the skin, although even the slightest dosage, of ingesting it, will give you an acid trip.
Herbal traditions are very important to today's widespread of pharmaceuticals. The constant loss of force to take away the discovery of many substances that could potentially cure diseases in today's society. Ha ha ha, you fell for it. That was just my ad about deforestation.
What is he even talking about?
I don't know, man, but you're gonna die, that's for sure.
Griselda, I hereby sentence you to death for the practicing of witchcraft and doing harms to others.
Wow, that was a great movie.
Yeah, I really loved learning about the molecules of witchcraft.
Yeah, in the history of the Salem witch trials.
Yo, guys, can we watch it again?
No, Aiden.